Hello, Beach Channel. I'm Max Weiler, and you're watching Bald Guys Finance. Scott, we're here again.
We are.
Yep.
We made it.
And now we got all kinds of things to go through. Do we talk close or do we talk comments? Because we keep getting the comments. Most of them have been bad, though. I don't know bad, but they're attacking us.
There's been a lot of people that said this has been helpful for them. And, you know, that's why I'm doing this. I've tried to help people, and I know that's why you're doing it, too, because in my contract, it said that you weren't going to pay me anything.
Well, but they hurt my feelings when they say bad things about annuities and stuff.
Annuities. Those are the guys. Those guys are vicious, man. They don't hold back. I think you had 2 or 3 people want to come on the show to defend their annuity proposition.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're going to.
Well, eventually we'll have guests once we get a certain amount more viewers and all that, and we'll bring those guys on. But I think I've hit their meal ticket, maybe.
You're hitting them hard, man.
Yeah. Well, let's see what else we got here. You want to check another comment?
I talked about doctors and lawyers last time, so I tried to get an appointment at Baptist. They rejected me.
Yes, that's funny. So, okay. So, I think this is a good one. We'll take this one. I'm driving along in my car and I'm listening to the program and I'm getting into it and it's over. Why so short? Well, the reason why is we're set up for TV. We run on the Beach Channel, and if you're listening on Spotify, I have a suggestion for you. Listen to 2 or 3 shows at a time. You can go right from one to the other, and they link right together. We kind of talk about some things over and over, like spending less and delayed gratification, but there's new stuff in every one, right?
Yeah, there is. And
And speaking of new stuff, what are we talking about today? Boats. We're going to talk about stuff where you can get in a lot of trouble. Boats, cars, and those things. You need a car, especially in Miami. You got to have a car, but that doesn't mean you have to get the latest and greatest new one at the top price and way above your means. Talk about how you've purchased cars in the past to make it happen.
Yeah. So cars to me have been, I can speak about I think the resale value of a car, if you're going to buy it, is really important. So I think I remember we bought a Lexus 470 that had like 48,000 miles on it. And I loved it. We wanted to get an SUV. This was when our daughter was young. We had animals.
Right.
But we researched the resale value. You know, what's the residual value of a car after 3 years after someone's driven it and putting these, would these heavy miles hurt us on a resale? And we found that these things, they take a ding from the purchase price new, 1 or 2 years, they mini cars will drop. But I look at resale value and I study that and I say, well, what car can handle the mileage? What car can I drive and not lose as much money? You're always going to lose money on a car because it's a depreciating asset.
Some more than others.
Some more than others.
You know my strategy. Yeah. Man, go for Mercedes, 2 years old, 3 years old. You can get that thing for half price if you really shop it.
Yeah, you got a
with
great
low
car,
miles.
And it's it's going to perform. You're not going to have trouble with it, and you're not going to get hit that much on the resale. Same thing with boats. When I love boating, and we researched the brands, and we ended up buying an Intrepid, which at the time when we bought this boat, and it's a little different now. There was waiting lists to buy a new Intrepid.
Right.
So if
you wouldn't buy new anyway.
No, I would never buy a new boat.
And you bought from a celebrity. Does that get a discount?
Yeah, I bought it from Mike Smith, the baseball player.
Hall of Fame baseball
Hall
player.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And part of that deal was he had to include a box of signed baseballs, autographed baseballs.
Yeah. And did he come through or no?
He did. Yeah.
Oh,
to his
wow.
credit, he did. But
you sold every one of them.
I gave him away. Yeah.
You gave him away? Oh my gosh.
I gave him away. But,
he didn't tell you how much those were worth then.
But that boat held its value. I mean, that boat, I still own that boat. It's a 2001, and it's a really good brand. It was built well. Obviously, I've repowered it, but there are brands out there that will hold their value. And they reach a point, like on those Mercedes, they'll probably reach a point where they're really not going to go down much more in value.
Right.
And, like the Toyota Tacoma is a car, it's a truck that seems to have a really high resale value.
Yeah, but the Japanese cars, especially the Toyotas and stuff, and the Hondas, I think there's a dilemma there. You get a 3-year-old Honda with 100,000 miles on it, it's like 75% of what you could buy it new. I'd rather have the new one.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, if you're buying it new, then, then that resale value is important. But even even the used cars that hold their value, you're
Right.
still not going to get that huge drop.
But some have, at the end, yeah. But man, I'm amazed. I mean, the car that I drive right now, I bought it in 2018. It was a $61,000 car originally, and I got it for $29,000.
Wow.
2.5 years later, and only 29,000 miles. How can you beat that?
No, you can't. And you'll see that in the car market. You'll see certain cars getting dinged for, sometimes illogical reasons.
Right.
The other thing to do is lease.
Right.
If you don't want to tie up a lot of capital, you can get a really nice car, drive it for 2 or 3 years, and then get a new one. And
Right.
in my business in real estate, if you're taking people around to look at stuff, you need to maintain some semblance of success, and you want to have
That's
a nice
that Miami success we're talking about,
That's
or
it,
real
yeah.
success?
Well, it doesn't matter at that point,
And leases, though, you can get subsidized once on cars what aren't as popular, right?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And those,
So an ugly
those
car?
show up, so you may not get the car you want,
Right.
but the good thing about leasing is you're turning that car over, so you're rarely going to have a mechanical problem. There's excitement around knowing that in 6 months my lease is up and I'm going to either get the same one or get something new, and the reliability of having a newer car.
48-month, 60-month lease, bad idea?
I like the lower terms. I like the 24 or 36-month terms.
Yeah.
They're more expensive than those longer term leases, but you're not tying up a lot of capital. So the money that you would put into buying a car can be used in other areas to invest. And you know what your monthly payment is. Guess what? Let's say you get in a wreck and you get a fender bender, you get dent. You're turning that car in 2 or 3 years, and you got to get it fixed, but hopefully you have insurance.
If you don't like that car, though, and you get a long-term lease, you're in trouble.
I don't like
getting out of
leases.
them.
Yeah, I don't like long-term leases. I like 2 to 3 years is all I would go.
Yeah. I did some leases. Nissan in the past had some decent leases. You could get a Maxima 20 years ago or something for no money down, $279 a month. How can 24 months?
Yeah.
How can you beat that?
No, you can't. And
Yeah.
the other thing is with technology moving so fast now, Max, it's amazing how technology becomes obsolete in these cars. I think the auto industry is going to change substantially in the next 2 to 3 years with all
Right.
these self-driving cars. I think it's
Well, it's changed a lot already. I'm in your Tesla, and oh my gosh, it's like a spacecraft.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a 2-year-old car, and it's the funnest car I've ever driven.
Yeah.
It's great. I love that car.
Yeah. And you can ask it to come to you, right? It's like your dog. And here it comes. It comes out of the parking lot and comes right up to you.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
They're great. So,
Yeah.
And their subsidy, I think, goes away in, I don't know, a few months, but there's like a $7,500 tax incentive, and there were really good leases. My daughter just leased one. She got the I think it's a 3 or something. It's the entry level one, and it's an incredible car. It's safe. It's fun to drive. The features they have in those they're exciting. I know Ted drove around with her recently.
Ted does not like electric cars. Ted doesn't like anything what's in the last 30 years. He's stuck in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you want a car you can enjoy, you like, but you may not get the exact car you want because of the pricing. So, have some flexibility there, particularly when you're trying to save money.
So you're referring to Ted Vernon, one of our stars on our show, South Beach Classics.
Right.
Yeah, and he rode around with your daughter in the Tesla.
Yeah.
We thought that would be a funny gig, and it was.
It was old school versus
Very old school.
Yeah, old school. Yeah. So I got a kick out of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was fun. So.
And what did he call it? He did call the Tesla a testicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
He's not fond of anything. I don't think he is fond of anything past 1970, something like that. So, yeah, you can't go by his judgment of cars. But as far as your percent of your income, you don't want to go crazy on a car or a boat or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't recommend buying a boat, which is not a necessary item. It's a luxury item. There's clubs that you can join, and
those are always cheaper. Everybody
cheaper.
who owns a boat, they
They're
go,
cheaper.
oh, no, I can buy it or whatever. You don't use it enough. And the maintenance, boats always break. Well,
Well, you know what boat stands for, Max, right?
what?
Bring on another 1,000. right? And it's true. I mean, boats are expensive. So
Right.
rent your boat. I say the same thing about vacations. I mean, people, I want to buy they get a little money. I want to buy this vacation home. Well, why don't you rent your vacations? I always believe
Right.
in renting your vacations. You have flexibility to, go to different places. If you like it,
Right.
book the same place next year, but you don't have to worry about hurricanes, insurance, condo associations. You don't have to worry about all the things. Your vacation home should be something that is enjoyable and you can
Right.
walk away from.
Right.
And it's not a distraction or a management and maintenance issue. So,
Airbnb has changed that though. You and
They
I,
have.
I've talked about it.
They
Yeah.
have.
I mean, we've had a place in Colorado for 30 years
yeah.
and it's got income because of Airbnb. And
Well, there you're getting the best of both worlds. You've
Yeah.
got a vacation place that you can, control the time that you want to use it, and it's generating income for you. So
and the best part, when I travel, I hate having a suitcase. I don't even take a toothbrush. I just jump on a plane and go.
yeah.
I like that. So everybody's got their
Well, if you
own
can
thing.
afford it, more power to you. If you can
Right.
afford a second home or a vacation home, and you're going to spend time there, and you know that that's the right place, and
Right.
you're convicted that that's going to be where you're going to go every year.
But if you got income on it, you don't even have to go there.
Yeah. Well, you could look at it as a pure investment.
You can.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it
And
is,
that's where you've done well with your condos. 'Cause I
Right.
know you've had that condo in Colorado, and that thing
almost 30 years
and
now.
that thing I'm sure has gone way, way up. in
I
value.
stretched. I did what you said.
Yeah.
Oh, stretch. I paid $145,000 for it.
So it's
and
over
it's
700.
900.
Yeah. There you
Yeah. Yeah.
go. There you go.
And it's only going up from there.
Yeah.
It was the nicest place in the town that it's in, but now it's middle of the
Yeah.
road. It's all
And that,
grown around it.
again, that Colorado, Miami, these are good places. You made it. When I say Colorado, I mean in the
Resort area.
and the skiing area, and in Miami and South Florida. There's parts of Miami I wouldn't invest in, but clearly where we live, Coral Gables, Pinecrest, South Miami, Coconut Grove. I mean, we've been lucky and we've been fortunate that, number one, we grew up here, and in my case, that I've been in the real estate business in this market, because the market has just outperformed almost any asset class out there. I have an uncle who lives right outside of Detroit, Michigan. He bought his house 50 years ago for, I don't know, $40,000 or something like that. I mean, actually, I think he paid like $300,000 for the house at the time. And is it worth much more than that right now? I don't think so. That same house in Miami would be up, 8 to 10 times.
But even then, I mean, I hear these people, especially when around 2007, 2008, everybody's complaining, my house isn't worth what I paid for it. Oh, whatever. They live in the thing. They'd be paying rent anyway.
That's when I bought my house, right before the dip. I mean, here I am, a guy in real estate, and I bought my primary residence, which was a big deal for me.
Yeah, you were chewing your nails like crazy to make that decision.
It was a big stretch for us. And by the way, we leveraged it to the tilt. And so, and then, a few months later, I lost my job, and it's like, it was like the perfect storm. But I had built income producing properties that would sustain my lifestyle, even under the most rigorous times. But to your point about when you buy, if you're buying real estate in Miami and South Florida, don't do it on a 1-year basis unless you know you're going to get in and out.
Right.
But, we bought that at the peak of the market, and now it's 3 or 4 times valued 3 or 4 times more than what we paid for it. So in hindsight, it looks like a really good investment.
Oh, yeah. Well, time cures in real estate, especially in that stuff. And you brought up something that probably be another topic down the road. You talk about losing your job. Best thing that happened to you?
Yeah.
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 Me too. That's how Rocky and I started our company. We got fired.
Yeah.
Did you get fired, or did they volunteer you
I had
out?
an opportunity to stay with the company I was in, but I was running a big real estate company, and I don't know if I was the highest paid employee in the state of Florida, but I wasn't. But I was a target because the company had to downsize in 2007 when the market crashed. All real estate companies did, and so anybody making a salary was subject to getting let go. But it was, to your point, it was a scary time for me, and particularly after buying a house that was like on the edge of what I could afford. But we started our own company, and it has been the best thing that's ever happened to me, Max.
Yeah. Now, I remember when when your wife was talking about she had a super secure job working for the county.
Right.
And it was a tough decision for her, but best decision she made. And for younger people, the most important thing is you got to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it gets to the point where somebody's telling you what to do and they're riding you or something else in the wrong way, or you're not liking what you're doing. Like it sounds like what would happen at this big real estate company. It was time to go, right?
Yeah. You're an earner. You know, you don't really have a stake in the company. You're at the whims of corporate America. And this is where I always go back to, you can achieve financial success if you're working for corporate America. If you have a day job and you've been with the company, but I always encourage people to become an owner. And what I mean by that is have a financial plan that's separate from your daily income, your daily
Well, you were
job.
doing that. You owned
Yes, I started
warehouses
doing
and
that,
all houses before,
Yeah.
and you were doing both things. You were doing that and you had your job.
And that saved my butt when in 07 when the market crashed. But it was, it was a nervous time for us.
Yeah.
But what I'm telling you is for people that have a steady job, I mean, firemen, I can tell you, I know 3 firemen who have a steady job and they're entrepreneurial in general. I found firemen to be like incredibly industrious. You know, one guy owns vending machines and he's buying properties and, homestead, and he owns 3 or 4 properties. He's a young guy.
Right.
But what he's doing is he's saying, okay, I got my main steady expenses covered from my job as a Dade County employee or Monroe County. I don't know which county he's in, but he's going out and doing side hustles and generating additional income. And it's going to make him better at what he does because he's not going to be, dependent upon his primary job. He's going to have other income, other assets, other net worth that belong to him. He's an owner.
Yeah. Well, they have something what a lot of people like us don't have to worry about. They're not going to run out of money in retirement. They're set. They have their pension thing and that's set. And that's a luxury. I mean, they have to do a government thing sometimes, which can be difficult because there's a lot of restraining type things. What you and I would never do well in that environment.
But this guy's creating wealth, Max. He's going from someone who punches a card and does a good job to someone that's creating like real wealth. And he's a young man and he started early and it just grows and compounds. And he's doing that at the same time he has this steady position. You mentioned Belinda. She worked for Dade County. She had a great job there. She worked there for 10 years. But she did cold turkey. She jumped straight into the real estate thing. She did. She started when we bought our first house together in 93, and she was very involved in that process. She liked it. She said, I like this real estate stuff. I had a really good setup in my commercial business. And so there was an ability for her to take a leap, get into real estate. And, that story has worked out really well.
So how'd you get fired? Was it abrupt? Did they walk you out the door? What happened?
It was pretty abrupt.
They empty out your desk? It was?
It was something along the lines of, I could always go back as a broker, which doesn't require them to pay me a salary. I'm 100% eat what I kill, right? And that's the way most brokers live. And
you like that.
I do like that. And it was actually more lucrative to be a broker than to be in the managerial position.
Right.
Because you get a fixed salary as a manager. But I was at a point where I was getting tired of, doing what I was doing. And
so a little attitude, that FU thing came in as far as you're getting to that point, or no?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you get a certain point where your other properties and stuff are doing well, and you don't need somebody
Well, that's
on
why
your
you
back.
do it, Max. That's why you do it. And I've watched you, operate this business. And sometimes you haven't been very nice to people.
Well, especially now. Well, some of the people, somebody comes in here and tells us how to run our business, I lose patience with that.
But you
I
can
tell
afford
them,
to do that.
I tell them, if they want to get into production business, you go right ahead. Open up. You can charge what you want. You want to do what you want, but you're not going to come in here and holler at me like that.
And don't you like the way they do it in LA?
Yeah, we love how they do it in LA. Definitely. Well, when we got fired, it was interesting. The boss didn't even have the courtesy to tell us we were fired. I show up at work and I put my key in the door. It didn't work.
Oh boy, that's
pretty weak.
That's a cold exit. yeah.
So
but that's a scary feeling. It's an empty, hollow feeling that you know, most people will probably go through at one point. So maybe not. Maybe that never happens.
But the point is, they shouldn't be scared of it, because usually, in all the situations that I've seen, unless there's one situation where if we've talked about, you'd need to pay to improve yourself,
Right.
and you'd pay attention to what's going on. If you've done that, you're going to land better. But if you've gotten lazy and everything's passed you by and you're really getting overpaid and the bosses finally figure it out, you're in trouble.
Yeah, if you're a high-paid executive with let's say, a publicly traded company, they have to run their P&L, and their P&L has no emotion or, care. I'm not going to say care, because companies care, but for the most part, they're looking at their bottom line, and if they see
Well, they have to.
They have to. They're trying to meet their quarterly budget
Or survive in some
trying to
situations.
survive. And
If they don't get rid of a certain amount of people, they're going to have to get rid of all of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's why I say be a business owner and not a earner. Because if you own stuff yourself, no one's ever going to take that away from you. If you have an investment property that you buy, and it may be scary to buy it may be out of the ordinary for you to stretch
Right.
out of your comfort zone. But if you get that and you hold it for a few years, and then you say, wow, this was great.
It's not all roses, though. When you're
not all
sick and
roses.
you pick up that phone to call in sick, there's nobody answering that phone. You're dialing your own number. Hey, I'm sick. Can I not come in? No.
Well, I'm not saying it's easy, but the point being is that if you can do that and build a investment portfolio outside of your core career,
Right.
you're going to probably be a better employee for the company, because you're not going to be operating out of fear. You're going to be operating out of abundance. You're going to
Right.
be, you know what, I can afford to bring up an idea that I might have been afraid to bring up
Uh-huh.
because they may fire me for bringing it up. And you also have the ability to, like you said, where if things don't work out, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm the owner of 3 duplexes in Little Havana that are generating 70 grand net.
And your
every
Spanish
year
has
for
gotten
me.
great.
My Spanish
You're
is
fluent.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Perfect. Yeah. So I think we're living Jeff from Miami there, who said that we needed to add more time. We're running over. Debbie's
Okay.
going through everything else. So we'll recap.
Okay.
So we started out with cars and boats and those things. Yeah, you got to have a car. Doesn't mean that you have to stress yourself out on one. I mean, there's subsidized leases. Sometimes the subsidized leases are on some of the ugly models that nobody want, but who cares? It's under warranty and it goes.
Right.
So some people thought that the Maxima, what I had, was ugly.
Well,
I
I've
thought
seen
it was
you
great.
drive some ugly cars, Max.
Yeah,
In the-
subsidized lease. I had when the Honda Pilot first came out, $199 a month, no cash, 24 months, ugly. But that was a great car for 2 years. It was fantastic. So anything else I miss on that? We talked about getting fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yours wasn't pleasant. Mine wasn't pleasant, but it ended up better.
It did.
Yeah. All right. So Beach Channel, you've been watching Bald Guys Finance, and we'll see you next time. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like the video, follow the channel, and leave a comment. Scott loves comments. Watch Bald Guys Finance on the Beach Channel, on YouTube, Spotify, and Facebook. Follow our Instagram and TikTok for more.